Welcome, Penn State fans, to a very fun and different edition of the Blue White Breakdown presented by Penn Live. Johnny McGonigal joined by Max Ralph here at Ohio State week. Max, Penn State, Ohio State this weekend. Primetime game. I got the sun glare in my eyes. We're recording this later on Tuesday for later this week. We're doing a different podcast this week. In weeks past, we've done the subscriber mailbags, which we will continue to do, and we'll pick back up next week. We've had a lot of fun with that, and we've gotten some really good feedback from our subscribers on that as well. So don't worry, that's not going away permanently. This week, though, we're going to do something a little different, and kind of an idea that we came up with earlier this week was doing a little draft. And we did a draft earlier in the week in terms of trying to gauge who might be the college game day picker, the guest picker, ahead of the Penn State Ohio State game, which was a lot of fun. That's on Penn Live already if you want to go check that out if you haven't already. But this one involves the actual players, the guys on the field who will be taking the field at Beaver Stadium this weekend for the matchup between the number 3 and number 4 teams in the country, two teams that are stacked, loaded with talent. And Max, let's prioritize some of them. Let's draft our own teams using those players.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny, you reached out to me about this, I think Monday, and I thought it was sweet. I've never really done anything like this for some coverage, and I do think that with the magnitude of this game this weekend, there's certainly great reason to kind of explore and empty the clip, as Andy Kotelnicki would say, with the fun stuff we could do. And just to kind of set the parameters for you guys of how we're going to do this. We're going to each take one quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, and then a flex, either wide receiver or tight end. And then we're also going to take an entire offensive line of Ohio State or Penn State, one or two defensive linemen each, one linebacker, one corner, one safety. It's going to be interesting. We could have done this a lot of different ways, and this is what we decided on. We first were thinking like maybe take full position groups from each team, but then we were like, well, it'll be more controversial if we just take individual players and leave some good guys on the table. So please yell at us, tell us why we were wrong when we're all done with this. But Johnny, we let Google decide, we let it flip a coin, and you erroneously called heads and allowed me to take the first pick here. So
I did.
I'll go.
I'll go right from the parameters. By the way, in terms of the parameters, I don't know how we're going to grade this. If we're going to do it, like if we're going to look back on Sunday and be like, all right, yeah, fantasy football wise, like stats or anything like that. I mean, we could look at it, but with offensive line, I don't know how we're going to grade that. I've never been in a solo defensive player league in fantasy football, so I don't even know the scoring there.
Me either.
Just kind of go off vibes on like, all right, like who played well, who didn't, and who won. But I'm sure the listeners and readers, once we publish this podcast, and then it'll go up on Penn Live as well. I'm sure people will let us know who was right and who was wrong. So the first pick is all you, Max, and then it comes back to me for a couple. We do this snake style, so it'll go you, and then me, then you, and on down the line.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Like Johnny said, please let us know. We want to know who you think could have won or who should have done better. It'll be fun. But Johnny, this might be controversial right here. And I'm going to say, and I assume we're all good with assuming that everybody is at full health here. Everybody who's on the table to play this weekend is going to play and be eligible to draft. In which case, I'm going to take Drew Allar at the number 1 overall. And I don't know. I think some people might call me crazy for that, but it all starts with the quarterback. It really does, and I'm not that impressed with Will Howard. I think that obviously you can win games with him because Ohio State's had a good season, and their only loss comes at Oregon. But I just think Drew's the better quarterback, and he's more talented, and I think what he's done on the field this year has been really impressive. So I'm taking Drew Allar 1-1.
Fair. I think you chose poorly, though, and only because of positional scarcity at a specific position. that has a very good player at it, and I'm taking Tyler Warren with my first pick. I like G. Scott. He can do some things for Ohio State, but I think the drop off is very significant there. So, I mean, if we're having a wide receiver, a tight end, and then a wide receiver or tight end kind of flex, man, lock me in at Tyler Warren for my tight end. I think he's the best at his position in the country. We've seen him used in a myriad of different ways in Andy Kotelnicki's offense. And I think he's going to be a primary target again this weekend against the Buckeyes. And then on the flip side, too, I get to wait on quarterback. I can just wait till my last pick to take Will Howard. So I'm okay with that. Something here, I think a big storyline going into this game, and something that we've both written about and will continue to write about, is the issues on the offensive line that Ohio State has had. Their starting left tackle, who had yet to allow a sack this year, out for the season with an injury that he suffered at Oregon. His backup ended up getting hurt as well against Nebraska, and it's kind of up in the air whether or not he plays. So combine that with the fact that Ohio State struggled mightily to run the ball in that narrow win against Nebraska. I'm going to take Penn State's offensive line with my second pick. And I just think it's been a physical bunch. It's been an impressive group. And we know that Anthony Donko's status is a little bit up in the air at right tackle. So it's not like they're not dealing with their own issues right now. But give me Penn State's offensive line, a group that has impressed me so far this season.
No, I'm 100% with you, Johnny. The Penn State offensive line would have been way up my draft board compared to the Buckeyes. But I just think I see enough difference between Drew Allar and Will Howard that it was worthwhile going to get my QB1.
Fair.
But hey, you want to talk about positional scarcity? I think I'm gonna do something that might I think you erred in missing out on this guy, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm taking Jeremiah Smith because dude's an absolute animal. Let's just be honest. If Jeremiah Smith was wearing the blue and white every Saturday, I think Drew Allar could win the freaking Heisman. If we're being honest with you, the way that Drew can throw the ball and the fact that he just doesn't have a guy like Jeremiah Smith on the field. I mean, I just can't imagine what those two could do together because they're both really talented. And that's not to take away from Tyler Warren. And the Penn State wide receivers have done good things this year, but it's just Jeremiah Smith is different. He just is. So he's going to be my second overall pick, fourth in this draft. And then I'm gonna go back to back and take Emeka Egbuka.
No, oh my God.
I told you. I knew this was going to piss you off.
I messed up.
Yeah, you did. But I mean, for pretty much the same reasons you can say about Smith, Egbuka's there, pair him with Allar. You can only dream about what those guys are going to be able to do. And I think the O-line is the right pick. And I would much prefer to have the Penn State offensive line than the Ohio State. However, not sure it's valuable enough to pass on those two OSU wideouts.
It's not. I was really banking on you. I figured you would take Jeremiah Smith, but I thought you would leave me Emeka Egbuka.
There's just no reason. Look, I think I would like to have Tre Wallace. Of course, I think he's Penn State's best wide receiver. I think he's an NFL caliber wide receiver. But he's not as good as those other two guys, and that's just plain and simple. So
yeah, he's not. And
if you look at the other positions on the board, I don't see any other spot where there's as big of a drop off in talent, and that's just me.
So we have one corner and one safety, or are we just doing two DBs?
We had said one of each, but I am totally fine with doing two DBs.
Let's do two DBs. Not that I'm taking two DBs back to back.
No. I thought about that when I was introing it. I almost said it, but I thought I should clear it with you first.
Okay. All right. Let's do that. What I'm going to do here, so you've already filled your wide receiver slot and your wide receiver tight end flex spot. Yep. So I'm going to wait on those positions.
Yeah.
I'm going to take who I think is probably the best DB in this game, maybe the best DB in the country, and that's Caleb Downs.
Okay.
The transfer from Alabama. I think he's been incredible this season. for Ohio State. And, if we're looking at a possible game wrecker in terms of Penn State trying to do their thing and create chunk plays and explosives, he's the kind of player who can, I'm not saying he will, but he's the kind of player who can turn a game on its head and make a big play on defense. And Penn State has those guys too. And I'll be taking another one. And I think, given Ohio State's offensive line issues, specifically a tackle, a player who could eat. And I know you said if, we're assuming all players are healthy, but we don't know if Denai Dennis Sutton is going to play in this game, which could open up opportunities for one Abdul Carter. And so I will take Abdul Carter right here. And I know that there are some pretty good DNs for Ohio State. There's a couple of other defensive linemen on the interior who could be taken here. But for my money, Abdul Carter, the most talented defensive end in this game and maybe in the country in terms of getting after the quarterback. So give me Abdul and Caleb Downs.
No, that one hurts. That one hurts because Abdul was on my next set of picks that I was looking for. I mean, the only thing that I will say about that pick, because I love it, I think those are two great picks for you. The only thing that I would say on it is that there is so much talent across both defensive lines that no matter which four the two of us end up with, I feel like you could get pretty close to calling it a toss-up. You know what I mean? Because we're consolidating this so much to just 10 players out of 40 that are going to play this weekend. That's just I think that a lot of these D lines are very similar. But I do agree, Abdul Carter stands out among the rest. That is absolutely true. This is a tough spot now. The middle rounds of this draft is you could go in a lot of different ways. I feel like the top was pretty easy. I'll
let you consider what you're going to do and just reiterate that I messed up by not taking Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah. No, I did.
And people are going to look at my team against your team without listening to this podcast and be like, how did he get both of them? How did he get both of Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith? But what are you going to do?
I mean, but if you look at it on the flip side, Johnny, and to play the devil's advocate to give you credit for what you did, if I only got one of them, then I'm also getting Tyler Warren, So
true. That's true.
I think your biggest mistake was the Penn State offensive line and not getting either of those guys.
Yes.
Definitely. But granted, you are going to have a sizable offensive line advantage. All right, I need a junkyard dog on my defense. I need a guy who's just going to lead them all the way through, make the big plays. Give me Jaylen Reed. Dude's an animal. Yeah. He's never going to get the credit that he deserves because he doesn't have the measurables. He's not putting up ridiculous stats, but dude is good. He passes the eye test. He's a leader in the locker room. Like I said, need a junkyard dog. Give me Jaylen Reed in my secondary, leading that defense. And I'm happy about that.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, look, Jaylen, we saw his impact at Wisconsin with the pick 6, but that's the play of the season for him so far. But he also had the pick that sent it to overtime against USC. He was a bat out of hell in week 1 at West Virginia, and he's been on a mission all year, really. And there's been a lot of talk around, or there was a lot of talk in the preseason around KJ Winston, him being a projected first-round pick, which I think was all fair, well, and good because Winston was a hell of a player before he got injured. But Jay Reed, he probably deserved a little bit more pub from us and everyone else.
Absolutely.
For the year, and he's been on a mission to earn that, and I think he has.
Yeah, and because I sit here and I look at all these other positions on the board, and I kind of say I'm good with getting anybody who's there. So I'm going to take back-to-back DBs because I think there's one more left that kind of stands out above the rest.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to get Lathan Ransom. And I think you have probably the best DB in the bunch, but I think I have the next two with Jaylen Reed and Lathan Ransom. And like I said, when I look at, tight end and offensive line, those are kind of I already know who I'm getting. I can't really do much about that. But running back, 2 D-line slots, and a linebacker spot, there's a lot of guys who I'd be happy to fall with. So I'm going to take Ransom here and fill out the DBs.
I was hoping he would fall. I was hoping that, his little nagging injury. He didn't play against Nebraska.
No, he didn't. But I think reports are out there that he's going to be good to go this weekend.
Yeah, that seemed like it might be a precautionary situation, and he's a hell of a player. So good pick. I dig it. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is I like Jack Sawyer a lot as a defensive lineman. I love what Zane Durant has done, but I'm gonna take a guy who already proved that he can beat the Nittany Lions almost single-handedly. And J.T. Tuimoloau on the defensive line. And I'm going to go with who I think he might not be the most well-paid running back in terms of NIL.
He might be, though.
Might be. Actually, the Gatorade banner downtown in State College might disagree with me. But I'm going to go with Nick Singleton.
That is not where I thought you were going when you introed it like that.
Yeah.
I guess I should have realized what you were saying, because if you were talking about the guy who immediately came to my mind, he absolutely is the highest paid NIL guy on this on these teams. I was thinking Quinshon Judkins, of course, but yeah, Singleton. I mean, I'll let you give your reasoning, but I'm never going to complain about that.
Yeah, that's fine. I just think what Nick has done, his full package this year, catching the ball, running the ball. Like, I know the rushing numbers have been down over the last couple of weeks, and he acknowledged that, he's a little bit banged up at this point in the season. But looking at the one-handed catch at Wisconsin, he ends up scoring the game-tying touchdown at USC to finish off that ridiculous drive that Drew Allar was able to put together. And I think that I think back to the Saquon, kick return touchdown against Ohio State. And I just think that Nick Singleton, he's a junior. This might be his last year at Penn State. He very well could go to the NFL after this year. And I just think he's primed, for a moment in a game like this. And we saw it in the Rose Bowl a couple years ago, finishing up his freshman year. I think Nick is bound to have a big game this weekend. And so it's kind of more of a vibes pick because, we get to this point, I'm looking at my board and my D line is already taken care of. Your DBs are taken care of. So I can take one when I want. Quarterback can take one when I want. Wide receiver. So it's like, who do I want at running back? And for my money, I think the most all around running back in this group is Nick Singleton. So I'll take Nick.
Yeah, to be clear, when I said I'm not going to complain about that, I didn't mean the fact that you took him. I mean, if I were you, I wouldn't complain about it because I think that it is a good pick. For all the reasons you said. We are obviously much more focused on Penn State football and all the goings on of the Nittany Lions than anything else for clear reasons. But we've seen Nick so many times in person. He makes the big plays. He's increased that receiving ability this year. The dude's just flat out good and always seems to be there when he's needed. So I love that pick for you. I'm in a weird spot now because running back was the only position left that I was kind of waiting for you to make your choice to decide on mine.
Yeah.
But you've got it full. You've got it filled now. So I feel like I should go elsewhere. And I'm looking at that D line. And yours is already filled again, so I think I gotta play this strategically and go to the only spot that you don't have picked yet.
Yeah.
Make sure I get my guy, and I truthfully am right between a lot of different people at that linebacker spot. But I'm gonna go with Kobe King. I think that I know he's not perfect in the passing game, but he is just really strong filling holes in the run game. He's also done a great job at Penn State this year of being the quarterback of the defense. I know that's been a huge thing. We talk so much about the communication issues in the West Virginia and the Bowling Green games, and he's been a really key part in making sure that things have gotten ironed out. So he's a great leader. He's a well-spoken kid, and honestly just a really talented football player. So I think that's the one spot where I can look and say, I got to get my guy over yours, and I'm doing it. I'm taking Kobe King.
Hey, that's more than fair. So you took Kobe, and you've got one more?
I do have one more here, and I think I am going to go to the D line. because now we're at a point where both of us are just taking whatever's available because we've cleared each other's spots. So I'm going to go over to the D-line just because it's fresh in my mind, and I am going to take Zane Durant. There's so much talent on the edge. I mean, Dennis Sutton, again, like if we're assuming everybody's playing at full health, then like he might be an easy pick. I don't know though, because Jack Sawyer has been really good. But Zane Durant has been so good at impacting quarterbacks in ways that we don't necessarily see it. And honestly, there's another great interior D-line option over with the Buckeyes that I would think about. I just kind of feel like I might have to go get an end with my next pick, but that's down the line. So for now, I'm taking Zane Durant with the 13th overall pick.
Out of money, I know. 20 of you, and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you tax cuts. We're going to pay you.
I am not rich as hell. I work hard. I scrape to get by. Donald Trump wants to give tax breaks to billionaires, but Kamala Harris has plans to help us. She's going to crack down on price gouging and cut taxes for working people like me. I voted for Donald Trump before, but this time I'm voting for Kamala.
Well, so both of our D-line spots are filled, though, right?
No, I still have one left.
You just took Zane, but you have one more D-line spot left.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I gotcha. I think I know who you're going with.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So look, I'm gonna sit here. I got 2 picks. I'm gonna take, give me Cody Simon at linebacker for Ohio State. I think he has 17 tackles in his last 3 games, 7 against Oregon. Super active guy. You know, if I had my druthers, I would have taken Kobe. If Tony Rojas had played, like, I think the put it this way, if we were drafting like a dynasty draft and you're trying to build a team for the future or bank on someone being an NFL pick or something, Tony Rojas would absolutely be on my radar because I think the instincts, the sheer talent that he has are that good. But sometimes the instinct, sometimes his head moves faster than his body moves faster than his head.
He's still a young kid,
and he's out of position a little bit. He shows signs this year that he's a sophomore and he's got a lot to learn still. I think back to that USC play where he just completely overran it and they scored 75 yards. So give me Cody Simon at linebacker. I think he's a solid player. And then at DB, like Denzel Burke is the bigger name.
Yeah.
But after watching that Oregon game, he got burnt. He was burnt toast in that game. I think Tez Johnson for Oregon have like 8 catches for like 150 yards against him. Still a good player. Doesn't mean he won't have a good career in the NFL or anything else. But A.J. Harris has played really well this year. Really
and
well.
I think that's a little bit under the radar, honestly.
Yeah, I think he should be getting more publicity than he is. And I think that might be like one of the biggest transfer additions of any Big Ten team this year was A.J. Harris coming in from Georgia, especially, Penn State loses 3 starting corners and Terry Smith reloads and Kimber has played well too.
Yes.
But I really, really liked what A.J. Harris has done this year. And I think this is going to be obviously a big stage for him going up against Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka and this crazy talented Ohio State wide receiver room.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how Penn State plays that because I don't think this defense, James Franklin nor Tom Allen, are really interested in having one guy shadow one guy the whole game. It's not really a thing James Franklin has done in the past, no matter who the DC has been. But I would sure love to see A.J. Harris and Jeremiah Smith go at it all day. I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be fun. Good picks. I mean, I'm probably with you on the Cody Simon pick. I do think Rojas has a bright future, but there's just some issues that you see in the run game, especially. He's been really solid in the pass game, but you see it pops up in the run game, and you don't want to have those holes. A.J. Harris, I like it. I mean, Denzel Burke it's been a little up and down. He is a big name. He's going to get drafted high, but A.J. Harris is a dog. So good picks. Boy, I'm going to take the OSU O-line now, even though I don't really have a choice, but this is really just my way of giving myself more time to think about which guys I want in the other spots I still have left. So give me the OSU O-line.
We call that vamping, Max.
We do. Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a significant disadvantage there, but the offensive line at Ohio State has had their issues, especially might be pretty injured this weekend. So I don't feel great about that. However, it's the only choice I have. And to do the exact same thing, I'll take G. Scott at tight end. I do think that, like, I'm scrolling through Ohio State's like targets. They've got like 3 different tight ends that have anywhere between 3 to 10 targets. They just don't use them a lot in the passing game, which honestly makes me kind of wonder about Khalil Dinkins, because like we've seen the guy, he can block pretty well. He's been used more than I think people realize in blocking situations for Penn State over the past 2 years even. I mean, he wasn't a huge name last year. He's been kind of the number 2 guy this year, but he was always in those T formations. So, you know, I've talked myself into it. I'm going to take Dinkins at tight end instead of G. Scott, just because I haven't seen enough G. Scott, and that's my fault for being a Penn State beat writer and not watching Ohio State every weekend. I know I'm going to have some Ohio State fans in our comments that are just absolutely crushing me for this. And I'll wear it, but I'm going to take Khalil Dinkins as my tight end.
Look, if you took Tyler Warren first overall at tight end, then I was going to end up taking Khalil Dinkins as my tight end because, like you mentioned, you know, Khalil, he just shows up. He just shows, and it's in the red zone. Sometimes it's on third down, but the guy just shows up and catches touchdowns. So
he does.
You can't go wrong with that. I don't think you can go wrong with that at all. All right. So looking at what I got left here, I need my quarterback is Will Howard. Lock it in.
You could do it. You can do it.
You know what? I could go Bo. And then if Drew doesn't play.
No, we're not doing this.
No, I'm just saying.
Not doing this, Johnny.
Look, we're gonna put the disclaimer in there saying that, yeah, we're assuming everyone's going to play. But if he doesn't play, then I don't know. Maybe my draft pick will look even better. No, look, I'll take Will Howard. I honestly liked him a lot better as a player when he was at Kansas State than he is now. And I don't know if his maturation as a passer, like I don't know if it like. I don't know if it's that Ohio State wants him to be a different player or something, but like I just remember him ripping off runs for K-State, and you look at what he hasn't really done it for the Buckeyes so far. He's been more of a facilitator, makes some really poor decisions for a veteran, and I do, like the whole Penn State didn't believe in me, they didn't recruit me. I'm like, I understand why. You were an under the radar 3-star guy. Congrats on getting to this point, but. He's my quarterback, so that's my pump up speech for my QB. He puts up some pretty good numbers. You know, even like last week, he had over 300 passing yards, even though I didn't think he looked particularly good against Nebraska. So, and a guy that I think I'll be taking in terms of Penn State wide receivers, but I'm going to lock in the flex because I like where this guy fits in as a flex option. Is Carnell Tate.
All right.
I think he's a big play threat. I think he had over 100 yards last week against Nebraska. I think his speed is a problem. And if you were to I think he is a legitimate kind of Swiss Army knife, a guy that could be used across the offense in really fun ways. I'm just thinking about the ways that maybe Andy Kotelnicki would use Carnell Tate's speed and his ability. So I'll take Carnell Tate.
Yeah. There's something to be said about it. I mean, he's kind of unbelievably the forgotten man in that Ohio State offense at times. Obviously, he wasn't last week, like you said, but like with Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka out there, a guy as talented as Carnell Tate just goes a little bit to the wayside. So I like it. It's a little unorthodox, to be honest with you, because I felt like it was surprising to see you take a third Ohio State receiver before Tre Wallace.
It's not it's not that I think Carnell Tate's better than Tre Wallace, but I think I think Tre Wallace is a better future NFL prospect. But I don't know. I just don't think Tre is used enough. And I guess Carnell
Yeah.
isn't either, but I don't know. He's just on top. Honestly, here's why I just took Carnell Tate, because if I didn't take him, I was going to forget about him. Which maybe isn't a ringing endorsement of him. But
Hey, no, I think it's fair because, like, I talked myself out of taking G. Scott and taking Khalil Dinkins. So, like,
Yeah.
sometimes this has just got to be a vibes thing, you know? So we're in the nitty gritty right now, and I'm about to make 2 picks that I don't want to make, because I don't want to leave anybody on the board at these positions. But, like, I've got a running back and I've got a D lineman left, and dude, I don't know. Like, there are 3 running backs that I could go with at this pick and feel pretty good about them. But, like, my gut is telling me it's got to be Quinshon Judkins. My heart kind of says Travion Henderson, because I've seen the man do some damage against Penn State over the past few years. But, like, there's a reason they went out and spent a heck of a lot of money to get Judkins. Dude's crazy talented. He's great out of the backfield as a receiver too, which with my shoddy O-line, that might be helpful. So I'm gonna go with Judkins as the running back. I just think it makes the most sense for me.
And then a D line.
Did I see you shake your head?
No, I did not shake my head.
D line. See this. Oh, okay. I thought I saw you shake your head. I thought you thought I erred there. But yeah, D line, dude. I'm between two because I feel like it's either got to be Jack Sawyer or Tyleik Williams, to be honest with you, because I mean, obviously Deny is out there, and I would like to take Deny, but there are more concerns about his health, I feel like, than Drew, probably, because he didn't look great on the field against Wisconsin. Like, he looked like he was in some pretty serious pain. We are also talking if they're at full health, you know, so, like, that's kind of tough. Tyleik Williams is the best run stopper of the group by a pretty wide margin. He's really strong on the inside. I think I'll take Jack Sawyer, though. That might be a snub for Deny, but and I realize I'm going off my own rules that we have to assume he's healthy, but Jack Sawyer's been good. You know, you can say the numbers have been, I guess, a little bit of a disadvantage for Deny. Like, he's been really good when you watch the tape, but for some reason it doesn't feel like he's getting as much love as he should. So I'll go Jack Sawyer. Why not? And that gives me more to push those Ohio State fans away for dogging me for picking Dinkins over G. Scott. So that's a for the people pick.
Hey, more than fair. All right, so with my last pick here, let's take Tre Wallace, and this is not a Mr. Irrelevant situation, because I think Tre Wallace is a damn good receiver. He has the talent, like we said. I think to make it to the NFL, his route running, I think, has been better this year. He stayed healthy, which is the biggest thing. You know, dealing with those nagging injuries last year, I think, really limited what he could do for Penn State's offense, and he's built that rapport with Drew Allar and came out hot against West Virginia, and kind of disappeared here and there. But I mean, I also look at my other options, and sure, Liam Clifford has made some plays. Amari Evans has made some plays, but it's super streaky. If I need to take a wide receiver to count on to have an impact in this game for Penn State, it's Tre Wallace. So I wrap up my team with that.
No, I think that's the right play, 100%. I would have been fine with having Tre Wallace as my second receiver. Like, I think I'm probably higher on him than most. Johnny, it's not my fault that you took the Penn State offensive line with your second overall pick. I'm just saying it's not my fault. But to get to the point,
it's my fault.
It is your fault. To get to the point, though, like, I think I'm higher on Tre Wallace than most. I think he's a good wideout. I've been impressed with his route running. Think he's got strong hands. I just think that he's kind of at the mercy of an offense that is never going to target one receiver a whole lot. So I think that's kind of what's worked against him. I think he'll test really well at the combine when he eventually goes there. And so I like him. I like the pick for you. But I got to say, Johnny, I think my team clears yours. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah. I just not getting Smith or Egbuka, I think really, really screwed me. But listeners of the podcast, watchers on YouTube, if you agree that Max's team is better, or if you think that mine has a sneaky good shot of taking his, just let us know what you guys think in the comments, or send us an email or whatever. This has been fun, and we'll put this on Penn Live as well, Max. Just to read it off, my team, I've got Will Howard at quarterback, Nick Singleton at running back. My skill position guys, Tyler Warren, Tre Wallace, Carnell Tate behind Penn State's offensive line. Abdul Carter and J.T. Tuimoloau off the edge, I think will cause some problems. Got Cody Simon at linebacker, Caleb Downs, and A.J. Harris in the secondary.
Yeah, I will say, Johnny, I think your defense is a little bit better than mine. And I'm willing to be a big man and admit that, but I'm just not sure it matters because my offense is damn good. So, sometimes better offense wins. Like, that's what it is. And speaking of my offense, I'll read mine off as well. I've got Drew Allar at quarterback, Quinshon Judkins at running back, Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka at wide receiver, the wild card Khalil Dinkins at tight end, Ohio State's offensive line, Zane Durant and Jack Sawyer on the D-line, Kobe King up the middle at the linebacker spot, Jaylen Reed and Lathan Ransom in the secondary. I wish we could somehow throw this up in front of people, but I have not done that before. You can try and read my notes. I don't know if that's it seems unlikely. They're also backwards, but they're there if you want them. So take a screenshot, flip it yourself. Yeah.
We'll put a poll out there on the. I think we can put a poll in the story whenever we put our teams out. I'm kind of ashamed, honestly, to have to write that I didn't take Jeremiah Smith with my second pick. I'm not going to get over that.
I'm just looking forward to these YouTube comments because I know they're going to be good and I know they're going to deliver. Actually, I just thought of the best way to do this, Johnny, is to put the results in the description of the YouTube video for those who, haven't seen it yet on Penn Live or we're looking for the final look. But just don't spoil it for yourself earlier in the video. Be careful. But I don't know. I think we're done here, Johnny. This was fun.
I think so too. Yeah, definitely a lot of fun, Max. We'll have more on the blue-white breakdown. Ahead of the Ohio State game, after the Ohio State game. Check us out on Penn Live. We've got a lot of stuff this week. A lot of really good stuff as we keep close tabs on all the injuries and all the storylines leading up to Penn State's biggest game of the year this Saturday at noon. Max, it was a pleasure. A lot of fun as always. Johnny McGonigal and Max Ralph signing off for the Blue White Breakdown presented by Penn Live.
Peace.